most people take a shower either first thing in the morning or at night, like when they get back from work or before bed. But I like my showers in the afternoon. Now it might sound gross, I guess, if it's like hot and stuff. But here's my thing. People forget that we're humans, I think. People think that we're just like this superior being, which is true to an extent, I believe. We're made different than, the beasts. We are able to kind of plan ahead, which other species of animals can too, but we're still just animals, and we're not, what am I trying to say? I guess I'm trying to say that we've kind of lost, especially in the 21st century, especially, we're so privileged now. We think we're so advanced, at least here in America, right? In the UK, Switzerland, Sweden. If you're in a first world nation, we're really, really entitled. It's not long ago at all, like 2 generations ago, it was not common to bathe, right? Isn't that wild to think about? So with that in mind, I'm not the hugest stickler on keeping myself, perfectly crisp and clean 24/7. Of course, you're gonna go to dinner or something. You're gonna, make yourself look presentable. You can take a shower. You don't smell like ass. But on the day-to-day, I ain't tripping. Especially coming from California, where they would put, and I think they still do, especially now, they do, they put restrictions on how much water you can use. Water is really expensive. And I didn't grow up rich. I grew up on the low end. I was barely lower middle class for most of my life, just barely. So, at one point in time, we would not flush after going pee. Kind of bizarre. So, anyway, with that in mind, I would shower every other day, every third day sometimes, especially growing up as a teenager, hair's all greasy and gross. But anyway, it's not as important as you may think to keep yourself super, super clean. And honestly, I think it's not all that important. I think it's better for you to shower a little bit less frequently. What's she doing? Oh, she's gathering blackberries. It is blackberry time. Oh, yeah. It is blackberry time. So it's not, I don't think it's all that super important to keep yourself clean. Now, when you're, wash your hands after you're using the bathroom, right? So you don't get pink eye, right? That's, obviously. But, washing your entire body. And plus, nowadays, soaps, especially body washes, like the 5-in-1s, 3-in-1s, 18-in-1s, like Dr. Bronner's. That's got to be loaded with carcinogens. I mean, there's probably a microplastic on it, riddled soup that you're putting all over your body, and it's just like, I don't know. The more, the farther along everything goes, the more, especially right now in this economy, we're growing our own food. We have chickens. We haven't bought eggs in so long. The last time I bought eggs was actually day before yesterday, and that's egg whites only, just separated egg whites. That's it. Other than that, I haven't bought eggs in fucking like over a year. So yeah, and it's a growing movement to make your own stuff, make your own soap, make your own everything, and I'm all for it. It's what you're eating, what you're putting on your body, what you're putting in your hair, what you're drinking, you know, like people are making their own kombucha. It's a pretty cool thing going on right now. Their own tinctures, you know. And also, here's another thing, which is pretty cool. Well, maybe here, maybe it's only in like conservative areas. You know, we just don't trust the government at all, especially after the freaking Rona bullshit. We don't trust the government at all. So, you know, the government doesn't run these companies and stuff, but it's corporate greed, which is just as bad as the government. And corporations will find any way to cut corners, to cut costs, you know, and give you some product that might smell clean, but you know that smell is just a chemical, right? Like the new car smell is just a chemical. It's just an amalgamation of chemicals. It's freaking disgusting. Not good for you. Now, it's, you know, I'm saying this as a little bit of a hypocrite because I do take testosterone supplement that's suspended in an ether, and that's in my body, you know. But I mean, at the same time, they're already killing us with this shit. Why? Fuck it. Why not? And then there's little things we can do here and there. It kind of prolongs our cancer. Everyone's gonna get cancer at some point, especially veterans. Dude, we're gonna get freaking damn cancer. I guarantee it, boy. I guarantee it. If you don't die of some other cause, it's gonna be cancer. So, anyway, like that lady back there, she's harvesting blackberries. There's so many, this full of blackberries. Ivor Davies Trail, which is up ahead, full of blackberries. Behind my house, millions of blackberries. And people are starting to make their own stuff more. You know, it's a lost art of making your own stuff. People are so helpless nowadays. And I really learned that, especially that people are helpless and stupid, when I did HVAC. You know, a person's air conditioner would go down and they would just lose their mind. Like, we didn't go millennia upon millennia without air conditioning. You know, they just assume we've always had it or something. We didn't. And I talked about this in my video I put it up the other day. How to stay cool in the heat, how to stave off heat-related injury. There's ways to do it. There's ways to keep yourself cool. There's ways to keep yourself hot. Oh, here's a cool thing. In Afghanistan, do you know how they stay warm during the winter? Because the majority of them live in a mud hut. They did this ingenious thing when they built their house. When they built their homes, there's an oven, right? Or hearth, whatever. The exhaust from that goes through the wall. It might just be one wall. It might be the wall and the ceiling, whatever. But that hot exhaust from the stove, from the fire, whatever it is, that heat doesn't just go through a pipe and it's not just like released into the atmosphere. They actually harness it. Now, yeah, they get a little bit of creosote and all that fun stuff, but it's made out of dirt. It's not going to catch fire. And if it does, I mean, fuck, something big time wrong. I mean, it's not just made out of dirt. It's dirt and like straw and hay and all that. Sticks. But, I mean, you know, my statement stands. So, there's ways of doing things, you know, without the use of modern technology. And people forget that. And it's a kind of a cool thing that's happening, and people are going back to, you know, getting away from the pharmaceutical industry, because big pharma is like one of the biggest evils of the modern age. And we're going back to our roots, literally. Harvesting roots, harvesting flowers at a certain time of the year, dry them, you know, and there's medicinal properties. Take aspirin, for example. That comes from bark. Did you know that? How cool is that? So, you know, a lot of this stuff is put on the planet for us to help us. You know, we had healers before. Yeah, a lot of them were, you know, smoke and mirrors. They're not, you know, it's not an exact science, but now we know. We know a lot more now than we did back then. We're not, you know, leeching people. hooking leeches up to people to bleed them of their bad blood and what is it called? Their humors, right? That doesn't exist anymore. Nowadays we're a little bit more smart, but are we? Are we though? So anyway, back to what I was saying. I love showers in the afternoon. That place right there, Boba-tastic, Boba-blastic, whatever. I've been in there only one time for trick-or-treating with my son. It's a pretty popular place on the weekend for kids, but gee whiz, you see the menu? It's like hot dogs and fried this, fried that, and all these drinks. They have boba, which, I mean, what is boba again? I have a slang for like tits or something in another language, but it's tapioca. That's what it is. It's pretty much just like sugar balls, and I don't like them, dude. It's easy to choke on those motherfuckers. I don't like boba. I'm already dumb. I'm gonna choke on that shit. So yeah, that's another thing right there. I mean, tapioca is better than like high fructose corn syrup balls, even though mass-produced boba probably has high fructose corn syrup in it. Which, golly, man, if I could offer you any piece of advice, I could pick one thing: cut the high fructose corn syrup. Go back to cane sugar if you need sugar at all. If you're gonna have like an actual sugar. I like to have sucralose. It's pretty much safe for you. It's way better than high fructose corn syrup. Holy guacamole. But in the effort to lose weight, body fat, I'm drinking diet pop. I'm not drinking the high fructose corn syrup Pepsi. I'm drinking the diet Pepsi. Diet Pepsi, caffeine free at that. So yeah, what's hard? I've done it a couple times. I'm doing it again right now. Is cutting out alcohol. That's a hard thing to do. Alcohol is not good for you. Holy crap! I know that's like a epiphany, right? That's a. How did I figure that one out? It's a freaking poison, bro. Your liver has to process it, and it shuts your liver down. Eventually, when people die of alcohol poisoning, it's just their liver can't handle it. They can't process that much. But if you've been drinking for years, like I have, but it's a hard thing to do, and especially in our society where, listen to any country song. 90% of any country song you ever hear, whiskey is all they talk about. And that's the one reason I'm starting to not really like country music nowadays. All they do is talk about whiskey. It's fucking annoying. But yeah, alcohol is ingrained in our culture, especially in like city areas. You got microbrew everywhere. You got the whole Bud Light thing, so now people, in spite of Bud Light, they're drinking another beer, and it might be cheaper or whatever, they like it better than other. Next thing you know, they're just drinking. Oh man, that's another thing. Get off the damn high fructose corn syrup. Try your hardest to either get off the alcohol. Now, I'm not saying go like straight edge, don't just quit alcohol entirely, because I kind of see that as a little bit of weakness. I'm an alcoholic. I'm not gonna fucking deny that. I'm not gonna hide away from that. It's true. I'm trying my best to be better. Like I say a lot, I'm just trying to be better than I was yesterday. But man, it's hard to get alcohol out entirely. But anyway, I know I'm not the best orator, and a lot of what I say is doom and gloom and stuff, but whatever. Good dude. Alright, we're free early. Hi, buddy. Yeah. What was I talking about earlier? Alcohol and all that shit. Yeah. It's bad for you. Right, so, yeah. So, like, my thing about all that crap is, you know what I was talking about the other day, too. You know, yeah, all this stuff's bad for you, the whole microplastics and alcohol and processed this, processed that, high fructose corn syrup. You know, I'm torn in my opinion about that kind of stuff, because you're gonna die anyway. You're gonna freaking die no matter what. Like, it's inevitable. You know, not all of us can Walt Disney ourselves and cryogenically freeze our body and mind and everything. It's not gonna happen. But so, you know, I don't know. I figure do whatever makes you happy, right? Try to be a better person than you were yesterday. But also remember, it's not that serious, bro. It ain't that deep, they say. It ain't that deep. And what I mean by that is you're gonna fucking die no matter what. So you might as well have fun, you know, be a good person, be a better person than you were the day before. Don't be an asshole, and everything will work out. Know what I mean? Everything will work out. So yeah, just don't, it ain't that deep. It's not that serious. And that's one thing you know, people tend to, you know, I'm not a very likable person, one-on-one. And I think it's because people don't really understand my humor. I'm very dry. I have a very dry personality, dry sense of humor. And it's not appreciated very often. You know, and I can see why, because people take everything too seriously. They take themselves too seriously. They take life too seriously. And I'm not about that. It ain't that serious. And you know, I know a lot of vets have that same kind of mentality, but a lot don't. So it's not a blanket statement you can make that all vets are like that. I am. A buddy of mine is. A couple of my buddies get too serious about stuff. It's like, listen, bud, chill. It's not that serious. Whatever it is, it's not that bad. You know? It's not that serious. And when you're talking about making shit harder for other people, you know, making life harder for someone else, then yeah, it's, hey man, come on. Relax. But when it comes to like humor, nutrition and all that fun stuff, like I have a goal. That's why I'm so like, I care. I do care. And that's just because I'm trying to get jacked. You know, I'm trying to look like Hugh Jackman. I'm trying to look like C-Bum. That's never gonna happen, but you know, I can try. But if you don't have a goal like that, who gives a shit what you eat, what you drink? You know, whatever. I don't think you should be fat, you know, like morbidly obese. There's a reason why it's called morbid. It's gross. And you're making shit harder for other people, right? So let's say you do end up, God forbid, you die. You're a morbid obese person and you die on the 3rd floor of a freaking apartment building. Well, dude, you're like 400 pounds, 500 pounds. Well, a gurney can probably hold you, you know, but the people carrying you around, they're at risk of injury. So, yeah, maybe knock that off. Try not to be a big fat slob, big fat ass. To me, that's gross. I think it's gross, and it shouldn't be encouraged. You know, obese people should be shamed. And people say don't fat shame. Well, I'm gonna fat shame. And you can be mad at me all you want, and you can complain and moan, and you can talk to my mom about it. I don't care. But that ain't right. You know? But I'm entitled to my opinion, no matter how wrong you think it is. Just like you're entitled to be fat, no matter how wrong I think that is. So, it's a two-way street. You don't have a right not to be offended. I hope you understand that. You really don't. Nobody does. So, get over yourself. You know what I mean? Hey, Vicky. Oh, good Lord. I wouldn't want to be an asphalt dude, period. But during the summertime, I hope they get paid enough. I hope they get paid, because that's some fucked work right there. That's hot. It's already 100 degrees, and it's 84 today. You're standing on blacktop in the sun all day. I mean, that's 150, maybe. Not directly, but radiant. And then you got that stuff, which I don't know how hot asphalt needs to be for it to be laid, but I know it ain't cold. So I wouldn't want to do that job. You know what job I wouldn't mind doing? Septic. As gross as that sounds. Have you seen that guy on TikTok? Poop smoothie, smells like money. That guy's making bank, bro. Because who else wants to pick up shit? That's one of those jobs that is almost exclusively male dominated. Almost exclusively. And I say almost because I know of a family, a local family here, who does septic. It's Bennett Septic. They live out there about 8 miles up Sawtell, maybe 10 from here. And it's a family septic business that they do. And Charlie, the owner, a man, obviously, but his wife gets involved too. And from time to time, their daughters, one of their daughters, maybe two. I don't know how many daughters they have actually. But yeah, isn't that something that's really weird? The human population, without consulting each other, or any sort of like, without any sort of like plan, the human race splits up 50-50 for the most part. Isn't that freaking wild? Isn't nature weird, dude? It's weird. And you may not be religious, and that's fine, but the more I think about all this kind of stuff, the more I'm inclined to believe that there is a God. Whether that's the Judeo-Christian God, it sure as fuck isn't Muhammad or whatever the hell, Allah. Sure as fuck isn't that dickhead. God, that guy's such a fucking piece of work. But something. I think the Judeo-Christian God's the most likely. Makes the most sense. It's important to remember that the Bible isn't an actual retelling of events, right? In some parts it is. It may be. I wasn't there. I don't know anyone who was. But when you look at it, not skeptically, but when you look at it as a riddle, then things start to make more sense, and you can decipher things in different ways. You know, I need to go back and read it. I haven't read it in forever, and I haven't read it in its entirety ever. I read the First Testament, the Old Testament, the OG Testament, and some things in there that were kind of bizarre, like people's ages back then Some of them are living to be 800 years old. How does that work? Why don't we live like that anymore? Why can't we all be a million years old? But yeah, I mean, there's got to be some. I mean, it's very possible that this was all just some weird accident. But I mean, if you just go up to a piece of dirt, right? Go into your backyard. If you're in an apartment, go out front. People might look at you weird, but get your face in the dirt. Like, lay down on your stomach and look at the dirt, right? And dig up a little bit. You're going to find creatures everywhere, and they all rely on each other, right? They rely on us, they rely on themselves, each other, they rely on the dirt, the rain, the sun, right? And then poke your head in a bush. What are you going to find in the bush? So many things. You look out right in front of me, there's a hill. Look up that hill. How many little tiny microscopic little things are up there, right? From here you can't see it, but there's birds, there's deer, there's cattle, there's grass, there's leaves, there's trees, there's bushes, there's rocks. Everything coexisting together in perfect harmony. Isn't that freaking wild? Now, unless we live in the Matrix, right? But still, someone created it, right? Someone made the Matrix. If we live in a simulation, someone made that fucker. So maybe that's God. And then, in that respect, isn't God just the same thing as someone who made a simulation? Right? Isn't that fucking weird? It's a really weird thing to think about. When you contemplate mortality, when you really get in there and think about what would happen if I died today, would you even know? Like, if you get hit in the head and there's people who are in like accidents. I've had stuff happen to me where I got injured and I don't even remember it happening. You know what I mean? I hit my head. I was concussed. I don't even remember it happening. Would it be like that when you die? Would you not even remember your entire life at all? Was it completely meaningless? Right? Or is there some purpose, some thing waiting for us on the other side? And if so, what is it? Are we reincarnated? Do we come back to the same planet? Or is it going to be like we transcend to another state of being, into another form? That's so weird to think about. You know what I mean? I'm excited to find out. I'm very excited to find out. I'm scared. I mean, I'm not afraid to die, per se. You know, I've come to grips with death a lot, like many different times. A lot of us do. A lot of us who served did. If you got the Iraq War, the Afghan War, you got Desert Storm, SHIELD, all those. A lot of us came to grips with our own mortality, and we got one-on-one with death, and we said, you know what? If it happens today, it happens today. I just hope it's quick. And I'm not afraid to die. I'm really not. What I am afraid of, though, is leaving my wife and son without. You know what I mean? That's my biggest fear right there. I'm not afraid to die, though. And I don't think it does you any good to be afraid to die. What's that going to do? Nothing. So I think it behooves you to think about it, come to grips with death, right? Get squared away, get good with God. Just in case you died tomorrow, your soul's set, right? Even just in case. You don't have to believe it, but just in case, you know, worst case scenario, you're wrong and nothing happens. Best case scenario is you're right, and you're chilling with JC, you know, and the big man. The Besides, you're gonna die anyway. You know what I mean? It's gonna happen. I don't mean to be morbid, but there's nothing you can do to stop it. Everybody dies. Everybody that's been alive, they've all died. The ones that are alive now will die. The ones that haven't been born yet, eventually they'll be born, they'll live their life, and then they'll die as well. It's the way it is. What are you gonna do? You can't do anything about it. That's where I mean, like, it ain't that deep. You know? Party hard, buddy. Have a good time. So, anyway. Get right with God. Get right with yourself. Get your affairs in order. Just in case. It won't hurt anything.